So Elisha Booth, who is my friend, she is the lady who penned the I Get Digital hashtag, which I have explicitly borrowed, I have to say. I was going to say something else there, but I've been using it massively since we first penned it for our digital marketing course a couple of years ago. Elisha has her hands on all sorts of digital material. She's worked probably what was the really, really heady time where social media went nuts, when Scoop On and Catch of the Day really rose out of nowhere. I guess, Elisha, that was probably 2010, 11 or so, maybe 2012. And, that was a massively exciting time where people were picking up their mobile phones first thing in the morning to go to their Catch email to see what great deal they were going to get today. And lots of stuff rose out of that. And Elisha sort of cut her digital teeth there, and then she's gone on to do a number of different things, which she's going to tell you about. And now she's working for, a 120-year-old bricks and mortar store. So it's a great story, and I'll hand you over to Elisha to take that on. Thanks, Elisha.
Thanks, Andrew, and thanks, everyone.
So I think, are you going to take over the screen?
Yeah, how about I stop share?
Yep, beauty. So you can find the share screen down the bottom and the whole desktop probably, if you've got your slides ready to go.
Oh, okay. Am I using my slides or?
Yes, you on the bottom of your screen, you should be able to just hit the share. There's the share button there now.
Hang on one sec.
There you go.
All right, we can see that now. So if you go into the slideshow, we'll see the full slide.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Sorry about that, technical issues on my side. So the key takeaways for today that I wanted to share with you is just realistic ways on how your social media affects a digital transformation for your business. In my opinion, what social media is and is not. Point number 3 is how to integrate your social media into your digital marketing plans. So Andrew tonight shared some templates with you and some tools. I'm going to give you some examples of the implementation side of those. Point number 4, how to engage your community with your community. So how to leverage your community to power your brand up in the internet world. 5, learn how to capitalize from social campaigning. And I'll give you a good example that's actually currently live in market. And 5 ways to turn your social advertising into dollars. And the last one is always a pretty tough one, is how to get buy-in. So you could have some great ideas, but I'm going to give you some tools on how to get senior management across the line. Some of you might have seen a few weeks ago that I posted on Twitter, basically Social Media Explained. I do like to keep things pretty straightforward when putting together a marketing campaign, digital marketing campaign. I thought this would be useful for you just to refer to when you're developing a social media plan. And, you may not use all of them, but you probably use, 3 or 4 of them within an integrated marketing campaign. So it's something that I always refer to, and I remember using this in a business meeting with the owners of Deals Direct, and basically explaining to the business what each of these meant and the purpose. Okay, so key takeaway number 1 is how social media affects digital transformation. Basically, traditional marketing, 10, 15 years ago, is no longer as effective, as we all know. I'm sure Andrew's shown you a few slides with regards to that. Really, developing a social media plan is, definitely baseline when you're thinking about how to transform your business. And some of the reasons are it grows and enriches the relationships with your staff, firstly, customers and clients, as well as the brand. It allows customers the opportunity, which they love doing, is to co-create with opinions about your products, services, and other solutions that you may not have thought of, alongside the business for better commercial outcomes. And really good for repositioning as well. From a B2B or a B2B to C perspective, it boosts your business leads and converts some to sales, which is great. Transforms your customer service quality and speed. So I've got some stories around myself personally, talking to PayPal, talking to Virgin Australia. You can see that on my tweet feed with regards to not being happy with their service and jumping straight onto social media. And, you know, I'm happy to say that the response is really, really good. And I think it's really important, you know, if you are embarking on social media, that you are everywhere a customer is. So need to do your homework. Customers will let you know if you're doing good or bad, or worse, nothing. It increases your brand visibility, opens doors to tap into the younger market, which is certainly the case with Lowe's Manhattan, where I currently work. In my experience, it builds engagement and loyalty if it's implemented and planned in the right way with the dedicated resources. And, you know, certainly point number 8 is relevant, and I'll show you examples of this, making potentially a possible irrelevant business more relevant. So overall, social media can be used as a tool for business to communicate issues, respond, and be proactive in their customer service. And the key point here is, if your business is complacent about social media, you've just got to be really careful because things are evolving. Customers are on social media. And, you know, you may see, put yourself at risk for declining customer sales where your competitors are actually playing in that space. And the last point is digital transformation using social media as we know it is baseline today. Okay. Just checking in with everyone. You can hear me okay?
Yep, all good.
Okay, perfect. It was a little bit quiet there. Hopefully you guys are on Twitter giving some feedback about the prezzo, some thoughts as well. I felt very lonely there for a minute, #lonely. Just checking in. I put this slide in here just to let you know, I mean, most of you would know that there's in the Australian retail area, economy, there's a lot of, you know, businesses that have closed down. And although social media hasn't been the cause of that, when you look at each of these brands, or the majority of these brands, the social media was a little bit subpar, in my opinion. And I think, you know, it's a real good example. Most recently, Roger David has entered into administration. You know, like it's really about, you know, innovating and making contacts with your customers and building relationships that's really going to help you through a really rough retail environment. So I had that, you know, you can see Toys R Us, you can see a number of other retailers that really, you know, are struggling and stores are closing. So I know, you know, in my previous work with Katie's, recently purchased by the Noni B Group, you know, their online store is their best-selling store, their e-commerce store. So, you know, 5-10 years ago, that wouldn't have been the case. And I think, you know, social media really drives the awareness of that store, and certainly a good opportunity for your business or the business you work for. Okay.
So, Elisha, were those figures Australian stores?
It is Australian economy, but some of those were obviously international. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That have launched in Australia.
Yeah.
So
Kmart surprises me. What's that about?
I just think they're, you know, when you look at the cost per square metre of a store, I think you've really got to look at whether that's returning the investment that you need.
Okay.
You know,
and would you expect sort of their competitors to respond like a Big W or something like that, and also do the same?
Look, I think, you know, social media, when you look at driving, you know, exclusive promotions to a particular store or doing a store launch or, you know, using GPS technology to get people into store that are in that particular geolocation, I think that definitely would help in not closing that store compared to doing nothing at all. You know, with Lowe's, we've closed a few stores that are not working. We've opened others that are working really well. And it's, I guess, really an offline and online match to get to that sweet spot of staying open. And it is really that tough in retail world. It's very, very tough. So
Wow.
yeah,
Good luck.
we're doing okay so far. So, like I'm really about being data driven. In my earlier marketing days, it was all about, oh, this ad looks really nice. We may or may not measure it. We're probably just doing one single channel. There's just a plethora of tools that you can use. It's almost too much, almost like you need to choose, your top 3 tools to measure success. This slide is really just to choose, ask yourself, what does success look like? So there are a lot of options, but I think if you kind of gauge which ones you want to really nail, I think you should stick to that and then scale into others potentially. As you can see here, I'm sure you're all familiar. Probably last week you looked at, some of the insights that you can get from Facebook Analytics. This is Business Manager. I'm measuring actions on page because I'm looking at engagement as well. Post reach because I'm targeting new markets based on new stores launching. And I'm also trying to increase recommendations as well, because that definitely influences purchase decision. So just thought I'd share some real life examples. Okay. This one here is Lowe's Australia Google Analytics. So not too sure if everyone has an idea about Google Analytics, but essentially you can track your website, you can track social media, and you can measure the success. This slide here is tree maps. So you can basically see 17,000 on the top left, social networks through Facebook has come through and has gone, 6.5 to 9 has gone through to a landing page and interacted and so on and so forth. So you can really measure how your campaigns are going. And certainly it's really, you've got to be really on this so you don't waste digital dollars as well. And I'm pretty much obsessed with Google Analytics, as is my team who should be online tonight, Dion and Damodar, as well as a couple of my devs. So social value, this is also Facebook, just looking at finding out for yourself first what success looks like and what you want it to be and working out a plan around that. As you can see where I've highlighted the contribution to, via social conversions for the Lowe's advertising and posts. And then you can see the last click interaction as well. So they're the kind of figures that you would probably look at to begin with, to obviously put some KPIs together before you embark on a digital social plan. Okay. So in my opinion, I've got Roger David, which I mentioned earlier about his Instagram page. You can see how that's just plastering, I guess, 80% off. I've never really seen that before. But it's definitely, as I said, tough in the retail space. I thought I'd put together what I believe, in my experience, what it is and not. It's not just a post. Social is a key part of your business strategy. I guess on that point, I always think about what is going on in the business. The Lowe's business is 2,000 employees, 200 stores, back to work, so B2B portals. It's also obviously big menswear. We have schoolwear as well. So I just listen in the business, and that's really important. And then in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, how can I help? How can I support this campaign or this problem? And I always try and think of social. So I've got an example about that with regards to our B2B area. The second point is it's not fluffy. Social has a value, purpose and impact. So you've got to really communicate that and demonstrate examples to your upper management and to your colleagues, and actually believe in it yourself by getting out there and doing some tests and getting some feedback from customers. It's not just a promotion and a price. Social is an integrated part of a campaign that has a story customers will want you to tell. So it's not about flogging, the 80% off. It's not about, how much you can get out of social. It is a precursor to sales. However, you've got to take customers along on the journey and engage with them as part of, I guess, the customer expectation. It's not a one-night stand. You must commit fully and invest. You can have a couple of one night stands, I guess, but you need to fully invest and integrate into your, your social, into your marketing strategy. That's really baseline. 10 years ago when I was at Deals Direct, it was kind of like a bit of a nice to have. Oh yeah, we'll tap this on, but we're definitely doing paid and we're definitely doing TV. But really, now it's just part of, you wake up in the morning and you think about what you've got going for your content on social media. That said, it's not a fad. Social media is the driving force, which is key for digital transformation. And I'll show you a few examples shortly. And the last point is really, it's not just driven by business needs. So it's not about what we can get out of our customers. It's actually needed and driven by customers. So user-generated content is key. Organisations need to be a customer first, have a customer first approach, and often a mobile first approach in their social media.
Can I interrupt there, Elisha, for a sec?
Sure.
What's your thoughts on why Roger David collapsed? I mean, just looking at that,
yeah,
I'm guessing exactly why. They're just not up to the game. That is the 2018 game of attracting and retaining customers.
Yeah, look, I think 5 years ago, if you posted a really nice lifestyle shot and you had a link to that product page, customers, you get the cut through. Customers would really click on that link, 30 to 35%. It's evolved and customer expectations have become really, really high. So I think, they weren't doing it wrong, but they just didn't evolve. And, the conversation needs to continue. And I really think that, part of their demise was, not keeping up that conversation, not staying relevant, not, getting feedback. And I think, there's no hard and fast rule, but I think you've really got to ask your customers if they like what they're seeing. And, in other roles that I've had at Saba, for example, I would ask customers whether they wanted a suede leather bag or a plain leather bag, or, do they like this in black or white? And, I'd use that before we go into production. So I guess, looking at it like a friend, if you're looking at buying a house or a pool, which I'm currently looking at buying a pool, I'm asking around and I'm going on to different product review sites. I'm really going broad. But, posting testimonials, posting, non-price-driven posts is really important to, have some depth and talk about the brand values and, key strategies for the business. So, yeah. So Roger David, unfortunately, it's pretty sad. I think that last post that they did, thank you and farewell, that's a really engaging post to me, even though ironically it's saying goodbye. Telling a story about that era, going back to retro would have had quite a bit of engagement, I think, if you were to do a little capsule around that and maybe develop a suit that is based on that era and making it contemporary.
Yeah, so lots of stuff to work with, isn't it? It is sad that the way it's sort of passed, but and that last post it's like the most interesting thing on that page for sure. I noticed looking at that too, they've got a Twitter account and a Snapchat account and Instagram. It doesn't mention Facebook, but I'm betting they're there as well. Yep. And 11,000 followers. That's, not an insignificant number of people who are interested to hear something positive about their next fashion choice, their next business meeting, their next job interview, selection, a range of things. So interesting times for brands, isn't it?
I think it is. And I think, that's why I was sort of saying it's not just a post. You've really got to think, about the coming, like you do with, buying plan or a marketing plan. You've got to think, what am I doing in the next 6 months and what's currently relevant for the business, and kind of look at it holistically and think about the business strategy and try and make that relevant and link those stories together when you're talking about social media. So there's got to be some sort of logical thinking. Obviously you can have the one night stands and throw something on there as a bit of a ad hoc test, and if something's relevant in the media that's relevant to the brand. I think probably stay away from religion and politics, but certainly I think it's really important to actually really think about it and be authentic about what you're disseminating out there in social media space, because once it's there, it's there. So, having said that, you need to fail and fail forward, but your customers will tell you straight away. I've got an example of that later too.
Excellent.
So next slide. So this is a live in market now. This is down in Wollongong, New South Wales. I'm not too sure if anyone's tuning in from down south. Definitely a really good place to be. Where, basically this came up, this pub crawl came up through a sponsorship that our B2B manager, Betty, put together, working with, the Santa Claus Pub Crawl Festival, which is an actual brand name. Essentially, they raise money for a chosen charity that changes every year. This year, I believe it's the Salvation Army. So I got together with Dion and Betty and one of the other marketing B2B managers, and we just thought, well, let's set a quick objective. And I swear this took 5 minutes to put together, but it was coming from a really good place. It was, you have to wear a Hawaiian shirt to this event. It's a Santa Hawaiian kind of shirt. They go on a pub crawl and they donate money. There's about 10,000 people that attend this event. So we thought, we've got stores down there. We've got, we can target on social media to that geo-targeted area as well, and basically work in partnership with this fantastic initiative and raise some money and donate to charity as part of our brand and what we like to do. So basically we set some quick objectives to sell 1,000 Hawaiian shirts before the event, raise awareness of the Santa Pub Crawl to get more people to actually buy tickets, and to sell some Lowe's Hawaiian shirts as the primary provider of, the chosen charity to drive sales. We wanted to also, they had a database, so we wanted to acquire 5,000 new customers. I can't remember how much they've got on Facebook, but I've got a slide on that, so I'll be able to tell you. And again, our business strategy is to, Lowe's business strategy is to really target in on the aging male, the young male growing to sort of 40. So this is perfect for that. The strategy, how were we going to achieve it? Develop an integrated digital marketing strategy to raise awareness of Lowe's, that Lowe's is the destination for Hawaiian shirts, and targeting to the Illawarra. We also thought driving in-store and online traffic to local Illawarra stores, Lowe's stores, and by doing so, using a promo code that was for stores so we can measure success and donate 20% to the charity, and leverage PR and social media to increase Lowe's and the link to the festival, which we're trying to be more relevant and trying to tap into that market. So we developed a social media plan, which is currently live, and using the hashtag SantaFest and obviously all of our handles. So this is their Facebook page. Can't see how many people they've got, but as you can see, they've tagged us as Lowe's Corporate Wear. This is currently getting edited back to Lowe's AUS, but certainly there's many more posts that have been made. And this is like an organic, authentic post that has very, very high engagement. And that's the sort of thing that I'm really interested in, because Lowe's is an authentic, fun, cheeky brand, and it's really aligned with that. So we're trying to build that link so it resonates with that target market. And I've got some sales results and some other figures to share with you, but it's going really well. This is their website. As you can see, they're linking back to a landing page which Dion created, one of my direct reports, and we're getting some really good indexing on Google, and certainly getting some sales through some traffic and sales through this link. And yeah, obviously these people look pretty happy from the year before, so you can get a taste that it is around the sort of 20 to 30-year-olds. This is Hawaiian prints search result. I don't know if you can see in the top of that slide, I've just done a Hawaiian shirt with key search term. You can see how our site is ranking, so the number of clicks. This is done quite early, and our average Google position is 3. So you can see at the top, Island Style Clothing, that's an advert. What you can see where I've got the big number 1 next to is an organic search result, and that's really what 2 out of 3 customers will always click on a organic search result. So really using the key search term Hawaiian prints and Hawaiian shirts has really leveraged from this charity event. This is the landing page, just quickly, as you can see.
And we've got a poll about that one.
Oh, have we? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Asking people what their favourite shirt is. So we'll just launch that one.
Okay.
And we're going to ask you to share. Is that right? We're going to ask people to share to their various social media.
Yeah, to your chosen social media channel. Twitter or Facebook would be good. You can go to the lowe's.com.au website, search for Hawaiian, or go through the usual menu structure. As you can see there on the left, Hawaiian. And you can actually, if you're on mobile, you can actually just share it straight to your social handle if you have the app open. And just use the hashtag #IGetDigital and IT Masters at IT Masters CSU.
Okay.
And
so there's a lot of love for the red shirt.
Yeah.
Who's the fellow on the right of screen? The bloke on the left, he's a rugby star, right?
Yeah, so I'm not really into NRL. I keep getting told his name. Does anyone know?
It's Daryl someone.
Oh, Daryl is the bigger guy. He's the big man on the left, but also on the right is another footballer, but I can't remember his name, which is bad.
And then 20% off for maybe the less fabric. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got a lot of love for the red shirt, and then fairly evenly split. Middle right seems to be the least favourite. Fair enough too. Anyway, go ahead to
Thank you.
To your various platforms, folks, and we'll keep pushing that good Google rating.
Excellent. So this is some PR that was obviously in the local newspaper, and really, it helped boost sales for people who are going to participate in the charity, but also the local community, which is really important. I'm a big fan of supporting the local community and charities. So yeah, that went really well. I posted that on Twitter earlier today. But again, you can see all the different channels working with this particular campaign. So again, took me 5 minutes to come up with the idea. The results so far, $15,000 in sales. Obviously, the investment was 20% to the Salvation Army, and that's still going. Obviously, the event hasn't happened yet. A ROAS is return on ad spend. So I always like to do that up front and make sure that it's palatable for my budget. We've had 1.5 million impressions, referral from social and PR. Landing pages had 10,000 sessions. The media value, if you were to purchase, would be around 20,000. And, you really can't value enough the point number 7, which is the #1 ranking for organic. On the right here, you can see in store the point of sale and the barcode, which scans, and obviously you can measure sales through that barcode. Okay, so a couple of years ago, or many years ago, I used to be the Chief Marketing Officer at Saba. When I was there, I developed the first integrated social media and marketing campaign. And it was all on the back end of spring racing, which has been quite a recent event, actually. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about this case study and how I put the campaign together and what I did visually, which is quite, hopefully quite useful to you. Some of the promotional material and some of the partners that I used and leveraged from their social media channels was David Jones and lastminute.com. Lastminute.com, I just made a phone call to them, old-fashioned style, and they agreed to promote this campaign and to their 1.5 million customers and give away a $1,000 Saba wardrobe. So that's pretty much the deal that I put together for them, and they put it across all their social channels, sent out various emails, etc. In store, we had a special hashtag. This is a mock-up on the right, but a centralized theme which carried across many different digital channels, including social. I'm quite a visual person, so this is my little spider that I put together. It's the Perfect Odds campaign. I won't go through every single point, but I've pretty much developed a digital and analog integrated marketing campaign and allocated a budget. So I had a total budget, and then I distributed that across various channels that I thought would work. And then I did multivariant testing and adjusted while I was live in market, which is pretty cool. So as you can see, a couple of points are social, Facebook, Twitter, a forum, blog, SEO, QR codes, 5% of marketing budget. You know, I partnered with Neil Grigg, who does Fascinators, develops Fascinators for all the celebrities. He had his own social media channels and definitely pushed this promotion out. And we did a video with him styling one of our models, which was really cool. Did some partnerships with Napoleon Makeup, who donated little gifts to at the Spring Carnival racing, and, you know, various other things like PR and editorial. But the key one was the social media and the Last Minute and David Jones social media integration. Okay. Facebook page, it's a very old screenshot, but as you can see, really just trying to, as you can see on the left, really promote the key theme and integrate it with, you know, social media, other channels like Instagram and Pinterest and other third-party sites as well. At the time, Miranda Kerr was our ambassador, so I did a video with her after one of these shoots, which I think was down at Cornell from memory. So I just got her to do a little bit of a snapshot on the actual Spring Carnival racing, and she was featured in the David Jones booklet and on social media as well. So really just, you know, this ambassador was already in place, but I, again, just trying to leverage from some of our owned assets and sponsored assets to drive the message out there in the social media world. And she posted on her Twitter handle as well. So that was really nice of her. She's actually quite a nice person. Campaign results, just quickly, 45% increase in the overall revenue year on year within an 8-week period. It hadn't been done before, but I was very excited about it, and so was the upper management and board. We had a 35% of total revenue that was attributed to Facebook. Obviously, that was through analytics, and it was through promo codes, so we could definitely measure that. The point number 3 was 40,000 new Saba VIP customers in just 8 weeks. So, you know, essentially the mechanic was just to purchase over $159 between a certain period of time, post on social media, and everyone won a prize of some sort, whether that was a voucher or a last minute $50 voucher or a top or some shoes. And David Jones also jumped in on the action, and there's our particular Saba store sales tripled. 250% increase in web sales and 900% increase in web traffic, 4 times the amount of traffic in store. So we had store counters on in the Saba stores. And as you can see, some really good increases in likes. Average sale was up and the ROAS was 20 to 1.
That seems really good.
It was excellent.
Okay. Yeah,
for
okay.
back then. It would be, you know, fashion, if I can say this without offending anyone, fashion was a little bit slow to jump on the digital train. So it was I came from Deals Direct, so I was very much a pure play CMO. And really it was quite easy for me to put this together. However, it was a bit out there for some, it was a bit too much, but it all came together really nicely, given that there wasn't a lot of noise in that space. To do the same campaign today wouldn't get these sort of results.
And is that just because there's I guess more noise in the fashion marketplace at the moment, and so everyone's just sort of adopted similar I guess campaign techniques?
Probably similar campaign techniques. I'd like to say no, mine was the best, but not really.
Of course.
But I think, you know, the old adage of the influencers and the impact of that, and the Me Too's, I think, you know, you've got a lot of other strategies that are working really well. back when I was at Deals Direct and Saba, you didn't have to pay an influencer. You could give them clothes, or you can invite them to a behind the scenes photo shoot. But really, in this day and age, you need to really, you know, have these influencers in your business. And I've got a story about an Instagram group regarding a campaign. They've been campaigning Lowe's, and it's all about, I guess, the influencers and the customers pushing a company to talk to them and to interact with them in some meaningful way. So the landscape has changed dramatically, but I think I showed this one because if you put it simply together in your mind or on paper and put some metrics next to it, it can certainly work. And, you know, you don't have to be out there. This is pretty passe now. I've used this today, so the guys who haven't done social media could maybe start with a pretty much a straightforward campaign, maybe using a few of those channels, but using an integrated approach is, I guess, the key message I'm trying to communicate to everyone.
Okay, cool. Just to let everyone know too, we're probably running a little bit later than the usual sort of 75 minutes. There's still a fair few slides to go, so
yep, I'll try and race through that.
Don't race through by any means. I reckon, you know, if people have to go, that's okay, and we're sorry for running a little late, but we'll make sure that we cover all the content and check the recordings if you need to.
Okay,
yeah.
Fantastic.
It's really great stuff. So yeah,
thank you.
Keep going.
Some other just really quick ideas on Pinterest. I'm not too sure if we spoke about this a lot on the course, but you know, really with your customers, see where they are, see what they're posting, see what they're tagging, see if they're tagging you. And if you can see there's a bit of a scale there, there's enough people that are on these channels, it's worth setting up your own page. And, you know, if you are going to do that, you've got to commit to it. The example I give on the right is launching a seasonal campaign, which is in conjunction with Vogue and other, I guess, influencers, and just really a look and feel of the campaign. Pinterest is obviously creating a board and tagging. So a little bit different to the Facebook and Instagram approach. I use social media as well to launch new products. So this one here was how to customize your bag. So you could put, you know, like a tassel on it, or you could change the clip. So it was really like a fun way of interacting with customers, and it did really well. It wasn't, the primary objective wasn't to drive sales. It was actually to be effortless, which is part of their values, you know, to basically just engage with the customers, to let them know that Saba's still a cool brand. And that did really, really well from an engagement point of view. Other little snippets I've done is through my business, working with Coco Joy and using Sally and definitely her handles to promote Coco Joy when it first came to the Australian market. So that worked really, really well. And just having the relationship with her and making sure that we're on the same page, and making sure she was aware of some of the, I guess, digital marketing campaigns and store openings that we were progressing to, and just giving her some key message as well to make sure she was on brand, but obviously her writing the actual posts. And she does manage her own Twitter account, unlike some celebrities and sports people, for obvious reasons. Quickly, another one is with Scoop-On. I basically put together really quickly, had no time at all, as we never do, but it was a rebranding of Scoop-On. I just launched a new site, developed a new iPhone and Android app. I say I should say we. And it was all about relaunching it. You know, deal of the day sites are aging. It's evolved. It's kind of needs a revitalization, I guess. And so, yeah, just put that together really quickly. Again, the same kind of spider approach. Scoopathon, so pretty much a 24-hour marathon of deals that were announced on social media every hour, and running an event and doing some really cool things. It's a little bit underwhelming in terms of the image, but you'll be able to look at this later and maybe use this tool. Leveraging from the Cancer Council as well, getting some backlinks from their Facebook page and from their site, and donating revenue from this event to the Cancer Council. We also provided a blog to them so that they could send that out to their customer base. Joint media release and several posts on their page. So that was that one. So how to engage your community with your community. Mamma Mia does this really well. They have a lifestyle channel that's on Facebook. Luxury Escapes also do that. They've got their own TV channel, but they also run live sessions on Facebook, which is really cool. The points here are to really encourage your followers to engage with others in your community. Let it happen organically. You don't have to jump in and say thanks very much. Just watch it. Just hold your breath. Especially if it's a negative comment. There'll be some loyalists that'll come in and kind of, defend you, and it's a really good thing to let go. Obviously, if it gets out of control, you can take control. User-generated content is the best approach on these types of things. On the right, I started a Scoop on lifestyle Facebook page, community page called The Scoop, and basically we were asking them what kind of deals that they wanted, how they rated deals, and it was really just people just chatting, mainly females. Get followers to vote on new products or ideas, and be transparent and open and in line with your brand values. So really it's just like talking to a friend. I did some brand repositioning with this business. So this was used as a tool to communicate. A couple of examples of Saba, sorry to jump back into Saba, but customers would take photos of themselves or have someone take a photo and basically tag Saba Style, and then we would feature them in our brand campaign shoot. So part of Saba's brand values is authenticity and quietly confident, effortless. So come up with the idea of not using models for some of the campaigns and just using some street customers and other people as well. Really just part of an integrated marketing approach, and that's still in place today. Just some other images as well.
Got some interesting questions from the chat that Angus has passed on.
Sure.
Sort of asking, well, when you do get, I guess, people engaging on your channels and on your platforms, how did manage trolls? Is it better just delete them, or where and how do you draw the line if so?
Okay, so the first thing I would say is just to make sure that you have a moderation policy, a terms and condition policy, which is located under one of the settings on Facebook. I'm sure Andrew will show you this after my preso. So that's just a legal way of referring to that if there are trolls. I would say in my experience, someone might come on and say something terrible. Usually customers will come in and defend. At Lowe's, we've had someone with a Lowe's lanyard on that was talking about a completely different topic, but because she had a Lowe's lanyard on, they contacted one of the customers, not our customers, one of the followers on one of the pages. So I've got to be quite vague here, so you don't go and search for it. But essentially she said, what are you doing about this staff employee who's saying this about this particular subject? Because it was quite a controversial subject. So really we had to take those comments off and remove that photo of her. But coming back to your point around trolls, there should be no tolerance for that. I think reaching out to a troll and giving them the opportunity to discuss exactly what their issue is, and usually there's a lot of issues with these people. It could be a competitor as well. Just to give them a chance. Anything that isn't part of your terms and conditions of your social handle, you can easily delete that person and their comments, for sure.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Let's to the next slide. Okay. Taking a breath. I won't be long. So I wanted to just share social campaigning. That's when, by my definition, someone is trying to campaign for your brand to do something and to respond to something. So probably about a month and a half ago, Hat's Greatest Hits, you can look them up after this, or if you're interested now, they basically were campaigning for us to create a corduroy retro hat with Lowe's on it. As you can see here on the left, shots fired. So they've tagged us, Lowe's Australia. You know, we're letting you know we're running a huge grassroots campaign to get Lowe's to make a huge corduroy hat. The punters are really chomping at the bit to see this happen. We will not rest until Lowe's makes a cord Lowe's cap. So we received hundreds of Instagram messages. If Dion's on tonight, he does the social media and manages the Instagram side of things. And he was quite worried because it was really full on initially. We had over 200 messages from this group. And as you can see on the right, I will not rest until Lowe's is the biggest fashion brand in the world. Now, it's a bit of tongue in cheek, but this person's gone to the trouble to actually put our logo on all these different items, it's just a real commitment to the brand. So I kind of looked at all these. You can see here, make Lowe's great again. And it's so relevant to us because we do want to be great again. And then there's sort of, as you can see, a few examples here. The one second to from the left, it's snowballing. You know, they're tagging us. You know, punters are letting Lowe's know how much they want to see a big Lowe's cord lid. So it's, you know, a bit of tongue in cheek, but they were really full on, and they still are. But essentially, I thought, why not? Why would you let up on this opportunity? It's kind of on a silver platter. We want to tap into this 20-something market. They are being respectful. They genuinely are campaigning. And I remember telling Andrew, because I said, yes, I'll speak tonight, what I was thinking in that moment. I said to Dion, I said, you know, why wouldn't we do it? I spoke to my MD and I said, look, you know, this is what's happening. I really want to do it. And she said, let's go for it. So I quickly did a commercial equation in my head, and I just needed to make sure that I wasn't going to lose a heap of money by producing these in China, these corduroy caps. I went on Alibaba, I got some quotes. My sister's a buyer. So I got everyone to do a few quotes. We ended up, one of our buyers getting a quote. We responded to them. And basically, as you can see, some of the KPIs there, I thought, well, there's no reason why not. So it was the first time Lowe's has ever probably communicated in this way to this on any social media handle. And it was really exciting, and it still is. You can see on the right, huge news with, you know, very positive sign. So there's a lot of anticipation. Not too sure if you guys like this sort of thing, but it's definitely, this is the way it goes in this world, I think, certainly in Australia. And it's all about how you respond. So essentially, we've got
sort of moral qualms about bringing corduroy back in.
No, there wasn't any at all. I was really quite surprised about that.
Well, wow.
I don't think they
Anything's
really
good these days.
That's a bit rough, Guy.
It's a fair point, really. Hopefully, they're not listening tonight. So yeah. Look, we've pretty much, the hats are getting made. We mocked up a hat. We got them feedback from them. So it's not as if we kind of did whatever colour we want. We actually were very specific about co-creating the hat with them and getting their followers to approve it. And we're having a massive event in February, and them and all their followers, or, you know, great part of their followers, will be at a social media event that we host, and we'll officially launch the corduroy cap or lid in selected Lowe's stores, and they'll go out to their followers as well. But, you know, we're considering a street range at the moment, depending on how this goes. But essentially, really happy, again, just responding in an authentic way, looking at the brand values and making sure that, you know, that everyone's comfortable with it. So, yeah, that's the story about that.
It's a fantastic story. I love it. And
Loved it.
I have to say the cord hat thing, and because I've been around, my favourite hat of all time was it was a black Triple M cord hat with Dr. Dan on the front of it from the early 90s or so when I was hanging out in Melbourne doing things. So there's probably a lot of other baggage that went with that hat, but it's all good. And I'm looking forward to seeing my Lowe's one, and I'll get that photo on social media for you.
Comes out.
We should give everyone here a cap if they want it. We'll do a vote.
There we go. Maybe we can get the top 50 or however many you want. The top 50 marks in the exam get a Lowe's cap or something like that.
Perfect.
Something to talk about.
Fantastic.
Let's do it. That's good.
Let's do it. Okay, moving on just quickly, what I guess, again, is something that you may or may not know about, may or may not want to try. Wanted to talk about Facebook and Instagram dynamic ads. It's certainly something that's working really well for Lowe's. And has worked in previous roles as Scoop-On. It depends on how you approach it, but you can remarket a customer, products shown in the ad unit, carousel on the right. I think Andrew mentioned the carousel earlier today. When users engage with your site, whether they're viewing a product page, adding an item to cart and not making a purchase, or being cross-sold with other products that may be of interest to them. So the kind of targeting that we do is product viewed in the last 30 days, not bought in the last 30 days, product viewed, not carted, not bought last 7 days. And you can see there's all different variations. Facebook is very comprehensive, and they do have, there's a guy called Teddy that I've talked to for quite some time. He works at Facebook. They are more than happy to have a phone call with you to help you along each step, because you are spending money with them, and it doesn't matter how much money you're spending, they're very happy to help and train you, because they know that it'll work and that you'll probably invest more. So reach out to a Facebook person today, staff member today, and they will contact you back. Prospecting is when you're trying to acquire new customers, and it's based on, it's served in your feed, and it's what Facebook believes are the ideal products based on your existing audience that you might have imported or given data from your website. And it's based on similar purchase behaviour. We can segment based on the audience. We're showing it to depend on the audience. So things like targeting lookalikes to past purchases, fans and friends of fans who haven't purchased in the last 30 days. So with this sort of thing, because it's not as certain, you've got to really watch it. And the reason why is because things can actually go wrong. So this one here, my MD of Lowe's was served this ad on Instagram, as you can see. The nice young man on the right was served to her, and that was based on an Instagram feed considered to be lookalike, which is completely way off. So you really need to watch your ads and make sure that they're working. So multivariate testing. I've got a slide here which may be a bit technical, but this is Magento on the left, and that's your mapping your categories to the Google taxonomy to make sure that you're serving the right categories to that particular customer. So that's what we had to do. We had to map our Lowe's categories to make sure that we're serving the correct product feeds, I guess, to customers on their Facebook feeds. So yeah, in summary, 5 ways to turn social advertising into dollars. I would say in conjunction with a social media organic plan, integrated plan, your remarketing, prospecting, age, gender, interests, and affinity groups. I'm thinking about infinity pools because I'm in the market for one of those. Geo-targeting campaigns. You can upload a CSV of your lapsed or loyal customers, and you can actually remarket to them or re-engage with them or base lookalike markets on them, customers on them. You can actually target competitors' customers based on interests, etc. There's so much that you can do, but if you just stick to really interest-based, age and gender and affinity groups, I would definitely recommend you do that. Geo-targeting, if your business or I guess your franchises are located in certain areas, you can definitely leverage from Facebook to communicate that you're out there. Down the bottom there is, must do multivariate testing. Suggest, at least 5 different versions of your ads with different copy. And yeah, just, keep an eye on it is, I guess, the point. Again, just on the back end of Lowe's, I'm not too sure what you think of this image, but there was a lot of talk about people tagging. This was put in the Facebook post. This is part of our 120-year celebration. Quite risque for Lowe's, but it was a bit of a calculated risk. We knew we'd get a few complaints from the older demographics, but the younger ones absolutely loved it and shared it and tagged each other. And they were saying, hey, have you seen the big barn in the Lowe's catalogue centerfold? So it was just a bit of tongue in cheek, and again, just talks to our personality as a brand. It, sort of makes us a little bit more relevant and talked about. And one of my last slides is really about, you can have a great idea, you can feel really confident about, what you're doing, but you've got to try and get buy-in and rally the troops. So I shared this 3 years ago, I think, Andrew. I've updated it a little bit, but essentially, show the decision makers what other competitors are doing online. So just take a few screenshots, put a PowerPoint together, or just send a quick email, but send it with a purpose, inform, persuade them. It might be over, in the next month, I want them to be fully aware that we need to be doing this, and what potentially the benefits are. Inspire them, train them up, give them a social handle. I remember at Sabre, I gave Daniel Bracken a social handle and I taught him how to use Twitter. Get them interested, do multivariate testing, and then scale if it's working. Give them a revenue forecast, and that's certainly what I did in most of my jobs, was basically saying, give me $10,000 in the next 6 months and I'll turn that into 20 times the return. Or give me a social media coordinator that can be committed to this plan, and you'll turn your brand around and reposition it, and more people will be talking about you. So really just be quite logical about it, but you've really got to believe that it will work yourself. So if you're feeling a little bit inertia, probably give yourself, a couple more weeks, go through the exam, speak to one of us come next week, and we'll be able to help you with any sort of gaps that you may feel is stopping you. Maybe that can be one of the topics for next week's forum. What is anything stopping you? If so, let's have a discussion about that, and we can give you some tips around it. Point number 8, certainly at Lowe's, the old anecdotal, digital is like just for the e-commerce store, and we're a bricks and mortar store is kind of some of the rhetoric that we hear. And so the way around that is to go and get the data. So we've got loyal customers. We're going to get the email addresses and basically dedupe against our POS and ERP system, which is like the registers. And I'm going to be able to very clearly show how digital is driving store sales and conversion. So that's something you can definitely do, and you can definitely import your transactional data or your customer information data into Facebook, also AdWords and other platforms. This is I should flick through this pretty quickly because it's a real budget, that essentially budgets don't have to be this much, but this is a serious budget relating to all digital channels. You can see down here that I guess everyday core, Facebook 15,000. You can also see the ROAS is 20 for that. So it's all about forecasting revenue and obviously justifying the budget for it. Very simple Excel spreadsheet, one that I'm very comfortable with, and it certainly isn't complicated. this is very simplified version of the previous slide. This is what I would probably present in a leadership team meeting or with an MD or a CEO. Very basic. You know, for example, I'm going to spend this much on $4,000. I'm going to get $130 sign-ups, which are worth $1,000 each. And the cost of that is $31. It really needs to be, in my opinion, pretty straightforward in those sort of forums. So presenting this, which I've tried before, doesn't really cut the mustard. This is good for financials, talking with CFOs. This is better for presentations. An example of a digital marketing content calendar that I use this one. It's not the best looking one that I've ever seen, but you know, you really, in my opinion, you've got to keep things really simple. You could have a really nicely designed one, but this one is tried and tested and it works really well. I guess that's it from me. I'll hand back to Andrew, I guess.
Beauty. Thank you so much. Andrew, you can take control of the screen again and let us know what's going on next week. Thanks heaps, Elisha. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I hope you've all had a good time in the chat there, and Andrew's been helping out with the questions, just sort of answering them as they go. So we haven't got too many left. Vicky's asked about the social costs for the hats, social media costs,
okay.
Aside from the hats, but that can all be found in detail on the slides. So yeah, just any final insights or thoughts from both of you would be really welcome.
Excellent. Well, I'll just chip in first there. Guy and Elisha, thank you very much for coming along tonight and helping with that. I love your work there, and I see Beth was answering questions in the chat session as well, so thank you very much for that too, Beth. And those two presentations, nice fit between especially the Facebook Business Manager and then what Lowe's has been doing across those tools is fantastic. Love it. And so much to know. And I guess when you do a course like this, even for me, because I'm not working on a daily basis, you just work out how much stuff you do not know and why then planning it out if you're going to start into this space, you know, you need to really think about it as well. So yeah, that's me. Elisha, do you want to add anything to wrap up?
Yeah, all I can say is that just keep it simple to start with. If you haven't done social or you haven't done a social plan, just keep it simple. Don't put the pressure on yourself and just test and scale. I'm really happy. I'm seeing some really good comments regarding the presentation. I wasn't sure if it was too much or too little, but I tried to keep it simple, and that's the way I would recommend you approach your social media. So I'm really pleased about the feedback, and I would say just keep on Twitter, keep using the different platforms, and you can't really go wrong technically. So thanks, everyone.
Well, that's good. And so for next week, guys, we've got, I'm just waiting on a confirmation from Amy, but I think everybody's back for what I'd try to capture in the top 5 social recommendations in 5 minutes. We'll look at some of the social results from our posting from Tim's system, and then you'll be able to ask the panel a few questions, and we'll hopefully be able to provide some answers. And then I think Guy and the rest of us give a few tips on what the final quiz exam for the course looks and feels like, so that you've got the best chance of success at that. So thank you very much again for everybody. I'll hand you back to Guy.
Yeah, can only just reiterate. Thanks so much, everyone. Yeah, stick around next week, 5th webinar. Got something extra, something on top of what we usually do. Keep posting in the forums. I'll keep having a chat with some of you through the week. I get to as many as I can, which isn't that many really, considering how many attend. So yeah, just thanks for everything, and thanks so much, Elisha and Andrew, and thanks Angus as well.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.